Hello and welcome to another Stamp with Amy K YouTube Live. And today I'm going to show you how I made a card with the framed florets stamp set bundle from Stampin' Up. This is one that actually was a little bit of an early pre-order, pre-release that was available from Stampin' Up. I can't even remember when it was, November-ish time frame maybe. But it's still available in the current mini catalog, which is the January to April 2023 mini catalog. The dies in the US are actually back ordered right now, so you aren't able to purchase them at this point, but they are showing us back in stock toward the end of March, so I'm hopeful that they'll be back and available again very soon because it's a beautiful set, and I just had some fun playing with it. So hey, Cornella, thanks for hopping in, and Carol as well. So have a good evening. So, all right. So this is the card we're going to be making. It's a pretty simple one. I guess I'm getting ready to go out of town next week. So I'm kind of in a simple card making mode, trying to get everything done and ready and get out of town on time. So, hey, Pam and Karen and Caroline, thanks for hopping in. So this is it. It's a pretty simple little card. So let's get going on talking about the stamp set. This is it. Again, and hey, Pamela, thanks for joining. And Carol is here as well. So this is the set. It's got some good sentiments. Love the mixed fonts in it. Love the floral images because I'm a huge fan of all things flower. And I know not everyone is, but I do love them. And then there are coordinating dies. So, ooh, nice. I have dog hair stuck on the die set. So there are some ovals here. So there's this one that actually cuts the little hearts in an oval shape, which is very cool. And then there is this one, which has got the it cuts out the little frame, and that's the one that we actually used, or that I used on my card today. And then we've got this one, which is a larger oval, and it kind of almost looks like a little cameo. And I'm hoping that I'm still live because, of course, it's frozen on my computer, and I'm not really sure why. Anyhow, so there are some open dies that cut out the stamped images, and then there are some accessory pieces as well. So it's a beautiful set. Hope that you all have it already. If you don't, like I said, it will be back in stock around the end of March here in the U.S. Hopefully in the other countries it's still available. So, all right, so that is the Stampin' die set. Let me set that out of the way here. The other thing that I used on this card is one of my very favorite die sets ever. This is the stitched rectangle dies. Oh, cool. I'm glad I'm still live. Like I said, it froze on my computer screen. I'm like, what the heck? So, all right. So I used the very smallest of the stitched rectangle dies. And of course, somebody just rang the doorbell, and the dog's going to bark a little bit. So sorry about that. So we've got Jimmy. Sit down. Sorry. She gets overly excited when the doorbell rings. So, all right. One other thing to talk about here, the online exclusives. Stampin' Up! Has some of those. They're in the online store, obviously, online exclusives. And there are some pretty items that are available. This is not an all-inclusive list. These are just some of the items that are available. So go take a peek. The details are on my blog, which is stampwithamyk.com. And you can see all the online exclusives. All right, let's get going. So hopefully you don't have to listen to the dog whine and bark because somebody's... I hope they don't ring the bell again, whoever it is. All right. So I started with a card base that is soft seafoam, and this one is cut to 4 1/4 by 11 and scored at 5 1/2. If you prefer the side fold cards, this will definitely work with a side fold card as well. So if you like the 5 1/2 by 8 1/2 scored at 4 1/4, this will work. I just had 2 of the card bases that were cut this way. This is my preferred card base. So again, you can set it up however you want to. All right, so soft seafoam designer series paper from the Subtles designer series paper pack. Hey, Drew and Ruth Ann, I'm glad you're here as well. And I agree, Caroline, there are lots of really things in the online exclusives, some really awesome things too. So this is from the Subtles 6x6 designer series paper pack. This piece is cut to 4 by 5 1/4. I used a slightly different piece. This is a more floral image on my original card. And then I used this polka dot one for the card base today. I did see that this pack of designer series paper is on low inventory, and I assume that it may not be restocked. So if you love the designer papers like I do, you'll want to get out and get this one purchased before it goes away, because the catalog is ending, and we've been told that there's going to be a color refresh at the end of the catalog. So I would suspect that these designer papers are not going to be around anymore. So make sure you go grab them and get it purchased if you're interested and don't have this pack yet. All right, so I used a little Stampin' Seal to adhere this directly to the card front, and I think it's Vicky, I'm not sure, V. Buller, and Barbara here as well. And then I went ahead of time and cut from the Shimmer 12 by 12 specialty paper pack. This is one that is also in the January to April 2023 mini catalog. This is one of the packs of paper. There are 3 colors in there. It's gold. I want to say, I know it's a purple and a green. I shouldn't even try to guess at what the colors are, but they're beautiful. It's just kind of a soft shimmer look to it. Really, really pretty. And I think it works perfectly when you die cut these little frames with it. So I have got my Stampin' Dimensionals, and I'm going to put quite a few of these on here around the back. And I cut mine in half, and they fit really nicely on this little thin frame when they're cut in half. If you prefer the mini dimensionals, you certainly can use those. Those would work on this frame as well, but I like the little half ones. So I was hoping to purchase Evergreen and Soft Succulent card, but sold out. I don't know that they're sold out. Well, at least in the U.S., I hadn't seen that they had sold out, so I don't know. I'm not sure which what area or where you live at, but like I said, I don't think they're sold out in the U.S. So, in the U.K., that's a bummer, because yep, they are pretty colors. So, and that's a bummer too, because I was kind of hoping that those colors might carry forward into the new catalog. I was hoping, I had my fingers crossed, but apparently Stampin' Up! Didn't care what I thought, because I do use those colors a lot. So, all right. So I'm adhering that to the card front with the little chopped in half Stampin' Dimensionals. Hey, Marilyn, thanks for joining. All right. Next thing that I did is I did a couple of these ahead of time because it's the same process, and I didn't want you to have to sit and watch me color and die cut all of these. But I stamped these in Tuxedo Black Memento ink and then colored them with a couple of the Stampin' Blends. I am going to stamp the larger floral image. So this is the one that's the kind of 2 flowers together, again from the framed floret stamp set. And I'm going to stamp it in Tuxedo Black Memento ink on basic white cardstock. Whoop, that looks like in the middle of that, I didn't get it very well inked. There we go, that looks better. All right, gonna stamp that. There we go. And then I'm also, while I'm at it, gonna stamp the sentiment, because we're gonna die cut both of these. So again, just stamping it in Tuxedo Black Memento ink. And I'm just gonna stamp it up here near the top so that hopefully I can get them. Well, that was not a very good, very good image. I obviously didn't get it all the way smushed down to the paper. That looks better, okay. I just wanted to leave enough space so that I could run them through the die cutting machine at the same time. So, thanks, Carolyn, and thanks for hopping in, Charlotte. I see you're here as well. So, all right, let's get started with a little bit of coloring. So I used So Saffron. That is the yellow color that I've used in here, and I actually colored it. I don't know. I saw a card somebody did, I'm trying to remember where it was, where they only partially colored these flowers. And I really liked the look of it. I thought it was really pretty to just add a little touch of color to them. So again, I've got the light So Saffron Stampin' Blends marker, and I'm just really coloring down towards the center and kind of the bottom part of the leaves with it. And then I'm going to come back with the dark So Saffron Stampin' Blends, and I'm coloring really closely around the middle. And kind of, again, just the very bottom part of the outside of the petals. So again, trying to keep it a little bit closer to the center here with the dark. And then I'm going to come back in with the light and just going to pull a little bit of that color up and out here onto the petals. And I did the same process on the other 2 flowers that I colored. Added a little bit of color, kind of a little touch of color to the center, and left the outside a little bit white. Whoops, I guess I didn't even color that one, so probably should put a little color on that one. And again, just pulling up, and I'm not really even coloring it very nicely, and it's a little streaky looking, and that was kind of the look that I wanted to go with on this. So I didn't want it to be a really solidly colored image. I don't know, I thought that made the petals look a little more realistic. And then I've got light and dark pale papaya that we're going to be using to color in the little flower centers and the berries that are on this image. And then this is dark pale papaya, so I started with light, and again with the dark, I'm just going to go very closely down here, and anywhere where it looks like there's a little shading that Stampin' Up! Has put on the image already. Just add in a little touch of the dark pale papaya. And then I'm going to, again, go back to my light and just sort of pull the color up a little bit and blend it so that it's not quite as much of a harsh line. And then I've got soft sea foam that I've got. I'm going to, again, start with my light marker, and we're just going to color in all the little leaves on here. And the leaves go fairly quickly. You just kind of have to put the color on. And again, this is one of those images that's very forgiving. So if you are newer to Stampin' Blends markers, I do recommend that you start with something floral or something natural, because they're pretty easy to color, and they're very forgiving, and you can kind of make it be whatever colors and things you want it to be, and you can play with it. So if you don't have any of the blends markers, I always recommend getting a green, whatever your favorite green is, and then a pink or a yellow, or whatever your favorite colors are for flowers. Grab one or two of those and start coloring. And that's really how you learn the best with these, is just to grab them and give it a try. So they're pretty easy. And if it doesn't turn out, you can always just stamp it again, color it again, until you're happy with it. So that's really all that I did for coloring on it. Again, I just kind of kept it towards the center and then colored the leaves on it and kept it all in pretty sort of pastel-y or lighter colors. So hopefully you like that look as well. All right, we're going to do a little die cutting here. So again, this is the die from the stitched rectangles, the smaller one that I'm going to be using here to cut my sentiment out. And then from the framed florets dies, there's one that coordinates with this stamped image perfectly. And I'm going to die cut that. So I'm going to be off screen for a second. My die cutting machine is set on a separate table so I don't wiggle and hopefully don't make you seasick while I'm die cutting. So I'll be back in 1 second. So. All right. Okay, I think I'm almost ready here to run it through the die cutting machine. Maybe. All right, let me get the dies put back on the magnetic sheet so I hopefully don't lose those. And there are my die cut pieces. And there we go. All right. Now comes the fun part, just sort of assembling this. So when I started, I took the larger of the two flowers and placed it on here, and then just sort of tucked the other flowers in around it, so I knew where everything was going to land. I'm going to put the larger kind of leafy image down here towards the bottom, and then the larger flower is going to be down here as well. And I just sort of twisted the flowers around until they looked like I wanted them to look on here. And that's where I went with it. So you're liking the pastel shades? Thanks so much. I'm glad that you like them. Like I said, it was a lot of fun kind of trying to figure out what colors I was going to do on this. And if you look at my cards for the next week or so, apparently I was in a green sort of mood because I did a lot of them in greens and a lot of pastel greens because, yeah, I like them. So, all right, then I'm going to take my Stampin' Dimensionals and I'm going to put them on the outside edges of this. I want to be careful and not put them towards the center because that is where my little frame is already on some dimensionals. So I wanted to make sure that I don't end up accidentally sticking it on top of the frame. And just going to adhere that to the card front. And then I'm going to grab probably a glue dot to stick the littler flower on. So take that and put it towards the center of the flower. And then I'm just going to make sure that that lands on the frame, which I think I'm going to peek a little bit more of that out. There we go. Okay. And then also going to take the leafy image here. And I think I'm actually going to stick the glue dots on the frame for that one because I want to make sure that those land on the right spot and actually stick the stick the leafy image to the frame. So I'm going to lift up here and tuck in the leaves. And again, just make sure that I've got my glue dots covered up on there. And then I'm going to take my final little glue dots here and stick the larger flower. Take that and kind of tuck it up here underneath this image. And that's it. So it's pretty simple. So hopefully y'all, like I said, hopefully you like it. I'm kind of in a spring and quick and easy card making mode. So, all right, I've got some linen thread here and I'm just going to tie a little bow. So again, the linen thread kind of has a mind of its own. It's a little curly, which usually I like the way that looks with the bows that I do. So when I do my bows that are just going to be a loose bow, I do the rabbit ear version. So I make the two little rabbit ears, cross them over one another, and then pull one through the other to make the knot. And then that lets me sort of pull the strings to make the bow as long or as short as I want it to be, and kind of arrange the loops and everything exactly how I want them to look. So there we go. I think we're going to call that good. I'm going to trim off the piece here from my linen thread little spool. So you like the designer paper? Yeah, it's like I said, it's a great pack, and I'm warning you, it's on low inventory in the US. So if you want some of this designer paper, which you do, if you don't have it yet, go pick it up, because I have a feeling it's not going to last too much longer. So, all right. So I'm going to take a little glue dot here and stick it in the center where I know it's going to be covered up by my sentiment in a second. And then I'm going to adhere my little bow to the card front with that little glue dot. There we go. All right. And then I'm going to grab my sentiment, maybe, if I can remember where I put it. Oh, there it is. I was like, I know it was right here a second ago. And then I'm going to grab a couple of Stampin' Dimensionals, my little half ones. And I'm going to be a little careful where I put them. So I want to make sure, again, I know that I'm going to be close to the edge over here. I'm going to be overlapping on the frame, and I'm going to be overlapping on the flowers here. And I also know that I've got the bow in here, so I want to make sure that I avoid all of that stuff. So what I'm actually going to do is one of the little tricks that I often do when I'm putting a sentiment on somewhere, or putting a layer on somewhere that it needs to be in a specific spot with the dimensionals. Where are my dimensionals? They're right here. Like, ugh. So, all right. So I'm going to take a couple of the dimensionals, and I'm actually going to stick them to the card front rather than adhere them to the back of this. And then I'm going to pick the backings off. And I actually think I'm going to put a glue dot under this edge, because quite a bit of it is going to be on that floral image. So I'm just taking a little glue dot, sticking it under the edge of this. And then I'm going to try to make sure that I've got all of my strings out of the way here. And whoop, stick this to the card front, hopefully in the spot where I want it to be. There we go. All right, so I've got it stuck to my Stampin' Dimensionals over here. There's a little glue dot over here, and hopefully everything will hold securely. And then the last thing for the card front is I've got a couple of the pastel adhesive back sequins, and I use the gold ones. As you can probably tell, the gold ones are my favorite, so I've been using those by the bunches. And I'm going to go ahead and stick a couple of these on here. So I'm going to sort of tuck this one up here a little higher. I'm using two of the larger ones. Tuck this one here under the sentiment. Come on, little bow, get out of the way, linen thread. And probably if I'd move all this mess out of the way, I'd probably have an easier time. Then here's the smaller one that I'm going to take it and stick it right down here along with the larger one. All right, and then for the inside of the card, it's super, super simple. I just took, this is a little piece that I basically trimmed off the bottom. So this is about 3/4 of an inch by 4 inches wide. So I cut it down from a 6 by 6 to a 4 by 6 piece, and then trimmed this off. About 3/4 of an inch off the bottom. We're just going to stick that to a panel of basic white for the inside of the card. And I've got my Stampin' seal here. All right, and we'll stick the two together. Hopefully get it on here. Yep, looks like it's on fairly, was on fairly straight until I scooched it over. There we go. That's better. I think we've got it all covered here at the bottom. And then I'm going to grab Stampin' Seal to adhere this to the inside of the card base. And that's going to be it. We'll be all done for the day. All right. There we go. All right, so that's the inside of the card. Super simple. I'm going to fold this closed and do a little crease with the bone folder along the top to give it a good solid crease. And that's it. So got the card that I made earlier, card we made today, just a little different version of the designer series paper on the background, but otherwise it's the same exact card. So hopefully you like it. So like I said, I'm kind of in a spring mood, I guess, even though it is starting to snow outside. We're supposed to get more snow this weekend and possibly some more snow next week. So yay, not really. So, all right. Hopefully, you all have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Again, I will be in Salt Lake City for an event next week, so I will not be going live, but I will be back the following Tuesday and Friday at 2 o'clock Eastern Time, which I don't even know what week that is anymore. I don't know the dates because, anyway, it is what it is. So, I will be posting all the details for this on my blog tomorrow, and I will link it up to the blog post in the description of this video, so you can go take a peek at the blog post, find all the cardstock measurements and all the good things, find out the details about the online exclusives and all that sort of thing tomorrow on my blog. So thanks again for joining today. I appreciate you all being here. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll chat with y'all in about 10 days.